As crazy as that Malaysian airport Venator leak was, it's not the first time a LEGO set has leaked at an airport. In 2019, the Batmobile leaked at the Billund Airport. Welcome to Ask MandR, episode 282. If you have any questions for next week's episode, leave them down in the comments section below. Hit the like button if you're hyped for the UCS Venator coming on October 1st. And let's get into it with our first question from Tommy. He says, do you think LEGO will release another Playscale Star Destroyer anytime soon? I've been hoping for a new one, as the last one they've made was back in 2014, almost 10 years ago. So when it comes to making a Star Destroyer, LEGO has actually really made two more Star Destroyer type sets since 2014, which is why there hasn't been another standard Star Destroyer since 2014. Of course, the one prior to that was 2006. So an 8-year gap, you would have expected one about now. And the reason there hasn't been, and I don't think there will be a standard Imperial Star Destroyer playset anytime soon, is because in 2017, we got the Last Jedi First Order Star Destroyer. Then in 2021, we had the Imperial Light Cruiser, Moff Gideon's ship. Those are very much in the neighborhood of what LEGO was doing with that Star Destroyer from 2014 and 2006. And of course, the Venator is what filled the gap between those two in 2009 for a Star Destroyer-esque set. And so what I think is going to happen next is probably the closest thing you're going to get to it without it being a regular Imperial Star Destroyer. But right here and now, I'm going to predict that we will see THRAWN'S Chimera Star Destroyer as the next Star Destroyer-esque set, because it seems to be the way that the Ahsoka show is heading, is that they are going to go find Thrawn in the unknown regions and bring him and his Star Destroyer back inside of that massive hyperdrive ring that they made. I've been reading on the Star Wars Leaks Reddit and Star Wars theories and whatever that people have had, and it seems to make a lot of sense that they'll just plop Thrawn's Star Destroyer in the middle of that and bring him back with the Star Destroyer, thus making the Star Destroyer a very sensible set for them to release next summer, of course, with the Thrawn minifigure. And don't say they won't put Thrawn in a expensive $160, $170 set exclusively. They did it with Moff Gideon. They'll do it with Thrawn. They have no qualms with that. I'm going to put the good old Charles Barkley on that one. Type Tyler says that you're going to do a gunship comparison with the Coruscant Guard gunship. I do plan to eventually do both a comparison of all 4 playset gunships. That's going to be the first one I make. I've already got the thumbnail concept down for it, and I think it looks pretty sick, as you can tell. And then I'm eventually going to do a video basically comparing it to the UCS version, basically $100 versus $400 Republic gunship. So that type of content is coming. It's just taking me a little extra time. Spiky Hedgehog says, do you feel as if the 2024 Battle Pack is too good to be true, or is LEGO listening to us? No, they're absolutely listening to us, and I don't think it's too good to be true. It's what we should expect as fans. We're asking for Phase 2 clone troopers. We're asking for battle droids and super battle droids to be in a battle pack. We want a STAP build back, and LEGO, therefore, is giving that to us so that we will buy it, because that's how the business should work, and that's how most businesses work. They do what people ask for, and so LEGO doing that shouldn't surprise people here, I think, and I think that's definitely been something that LEGO has been improving at over the last few years, is definitely listening to feedback and doing what people want. The quality still isn't there, unquestionably, but doing the thing first and foremost is at least happening. So we're seeing that, and it's kind of crazy to see like the Stockholm syndrome of some people like realizing like, oh, they do kind of listen sometimes, like, but I don't still believe it until I see it. Flashfire says, are you going to make a rant video on how LEGO used the wrong color for Rey's lightsaber in the holiday diorama? Absolutely disgraceful and an insult to the fans. See, that's where you're wrong, Flashfire. There are no fans for Rey and her yellow lightsaber. The reason that nobody cares, it should be yellow, don't get me wrong. And I will say in my review of that set that it should have been yellow, because it just should have been. But there's just far less people that care about Rey's yellow lightsaber than Captain Rex being good or bad in a $650 UCS set. And that's why you see so many more people talking about or complaining about Captain Rex being bad, because they just care more about Captain Rex than they do Rey and her stupid yellow lightsaber. Hootie Boy says, do you view some of your old YouTube videos as cringe? Look, I've been uploading since before some people watching this video were born. I started in early 2009. Like, my cousin Corey was literally not even 1 year old yet, and now he's like 15. It's crazy, right? But I think any content creator will tell you this. Absolutely anything you make in the past, as you find yourself improving over the years and changing your setup and getting better equipment, especially if you like really stick with it over the years like I have and continue to invest money into it, like, you're gonna look back on your old stuff and just like kind of shudder at it. It's just bad stuff, right? And even videos from a year ago, I don't necessarily cringe at, but I look at them and I'm like, man, this is just poor quality. I did did this poorly. I could have done that better. And I'll pick apart a video and just be like kind of upset at myself, because it'll be a review mostly that I'll look back at, because I've changed them so much in the past few years, where I've gone from like filming with an iPhone to filming with a nice camera and having a nice microphone with it. And I changed up from doing a stupid little spinny thing that was kind of wobbly for minifigures to like taking nice shots of them in 4K and zooming it in nicely so you can see all the detail. Like, just a lot of things have changed that I'll look back on. I'll be like, man, I can't believe people would have watched this video and thought it was good, because I just look at what I do now and I'm like, I want to go redo that now because it's so bad. So yeah, I think any content creator will tell you their old content is cringe generally. So absolutely. Colin says, please say anything about the defensive Hoth for sale and still on sale for 20% off. Look, I tried to buy all of them, guys. I really tried. People blame me for buying all of things all the time, but I really tried with the defensive Hoth, and I came up short. I just ran out of money after buying too many of them, and unfortunately, LEGO still had a bunch in a warehouse. It's kind of crazy. The clone minifig pack retired 9 months ago and hasn't been seen since, maybe like 7-8 months ago. Maybe that's slightly too long, but the Hoth pack, which would have been in the same production line and was supposed to retire at the same time as the clone minifig pack, is still in stock because so many less people bought the Hoth minifig pack. I'm not going to draw any conclusions for anyone, but if you do want to buy one, please use my affiliate link in the description below. I'm sure LEGO would love to get rid of them. Next question from Normanis says, where are your shelves from? And this is a question I got a lot last week. Understandably, they are IKEA Billy shelves, and they have the extra like glass door attachment. By the way, if you put the glass door attachment on it, please drill the thing into the wall so it doesn't fall on you. That's rule number one. That's why I didn't have glass doors on these things for many, many months, because they would have just fallen down if I put them on there without drilling them into the wall above. And the lights inside are Philips Hue lights, which it can be a pretty expensive setup, but I'm really happy with it, and it's obviously something that I invested like business money into. So if you take your LEGO collecting seriously and really want to have a nice display, this is a good idea. I definitely love seeing ideas from different people, and I'm sure this will inspire a bunch of people to do something like this. There are tons of other shelving options out there. You just have to look it up and see what you can find if you're looking for something other than this. Dan says, I just turned 50. My first grandchild was born yesterday. Congratulations, that's amazing. What do you think should be his first LEGO set, and what few sets should I buy for his future building or for an investment? I plan on buying a few sets every year for him and giving them all to him one day, 16 or 18 years old. I figure he would really appreciate that. I just had this happen, and that's why I bring it up before we get into how crazy your situation is, like in a parallel universe for me. But in the early 2000s, my grandparents bought me physical paper, like US Treasury bonds, you know, and so it was crazy. I just found out like a week and a half ago when I went back to my parents' house that we've had these in a safe and that they mature in like 5 or 10 years. And it was like kind of cool to have this kind of found money thing. It's not like an insane amount of money, but it was just cool, right? And so I think it's really neat that you're thinking about your grandchild like this, just because like I just had such a great experience with that myself. And look, honestly, it's even cooler that it's going to be LEGO for them in 16, 18 years. I guess money you can buy anything with, including LEGO, but LEGO could probably appreciate more in value if that's what they end up caring about, or it'll just be an even cooler thing to be able to receive. I gotta go 501st Battle Pack. You gotta get 1 or 10 of those in there. I would try to anticipate what you think they'll like. So if you intend to like show them the Clone Wars, I would definitely shift your buying habits towards Clone Wars things for them. So whether they want to sell them or keep them, at least it'll be something that they like, and maybe they'll be more inclined to keep it if it is Clone Wars stuff and they end up really liking the Clone Wars. Or if you think you're really just going to show them the original trilogy and make sure they really like the original trilogy, then buy them a bunch of TIE fighters and X-Wings from the era, like UCS sets, basically like that, before they become crazy expensive. Or like the Death Star, I think the Death Star May 4th promo is a really good one to throw in there. I don't know how crazy expensive you're thinking of going, but some of like the modern UCS sets like Mos Eisley Cantina would not be a bad idea, because that's something that's absolutely timeless. Basically anyone that ends up liking Star Wars likes that sort of thing. Almost in a way to like diversify the portfolio, I would go like 50% original trilogy, put in some of the new Disney Plus shows like The Mandalorian. Ahsoka's Ghost set is amazing. Like pick out some of those amazing sets like that. And again, budget really depending there. Both sets that could potentially have good value in the future, but also just something that they're very likely to end up really liking and enjoying and appreciating 15 to 20 years from now. So that's a crazy nice thing of you to do. And maybe that's something I'll give a try when I have grandkids someday, maybe. But yeah, dude, that's just so cool. So good luck with that. And hopefully I've nudged you in a good direction. But you're totally old old enough, you're smarter than me, and you'll figure it out, I'm sure. Super Rambo says, I want to start a Lego channel. Should I do it in my native language where there's a smaller audience but only 2 to 3 people doing it, or in English where there's a much bigger audience potential but also massive competition? Yeah, if you're trying to break into the English Lego space market, you're going to have a really tough time. Now, if you're multilingual, you might be at a pretty good advantage here in not too long, because YouTube is adding a feature where you can just add a audio track that is in a different language, and that's something I intend on doing as soon as it's available to me. I'm probably going to do like German and Spanish or something, not 100% sure yet. So I almost feel like while it will be extra work for you, it doesn't even matter which language you want to do, because you can really do both and be perfectly fine. Mr. Beast is doing this on his YouTube channel because he already has the feature. If you really want to see like what it looks like, it's in like the closed captions area. You just select the audio language that you want, and it's pretty crazy to see that that's just a thing you can do now. But I will say, if you aren't as strong in English, I definitely wouldn't like go all into English, because there's just so many people in English that have spoke English their whole life that are really good at it. I would also say having very little competition is a good thing. Just rise to the top of your like group. I don't know what language you're talking about, but let's just say rise to the top of Spanish, and then venture out and get really good at your craft while you're doing Spanish, and without like a big risk, but also without the big reward, I guess. So then you can jump into the bigger pond. So I wish you luck. And maybe you didn't know about that YouTube feature, but that is like the biggest thing you really need to know there, is that it really doesn't matter what you pick, because at the end of the day, you'll end up being able to do both at the same time. Wookie Brick says, do you think people stealing from the Pick-a-Brick wall and Bricks and Minifig station is a big problem? No. It's certainly not my problem. I'm not losing any money if people happen to do that, and I wouldn't encourage doing that. But you also should know, I do believe the Pick-a-Brick wall at the Lego store is by far the most profitable thing in the Lego store. So I'm not too sure Lego's really worried about people picking out a piece or two at a time and stealing them. Like, I'm sure it happens, but like, it's just not a big deal. And also, like, when people drop pieces on the ground, they just get swept up and like recycled basically. So that's also just as well should have been stolen, right? Because it's basically a loss to them, I think. But to analyze whether or not Lego thinks it's a big problem, because I don't think it is, Lego stores don't have any security cameras. So I think if they really thought theft was a huge problem within their stores, they would break their like rule about not having security cameras and then just put in some security cameras so that they can catch these thieves. But it's just not a big problem. So also what you specifically brought up, like I said, is like the most profitable thing they have in the store. They aren't losing any money on that. Next question from the Really Good channel says, I prefer the current UCS Falcons box art. And so this is in reference to last week. I talked about how Lego should update the UCS Falcon box art to just be the all black art. And I will say, that Really Good channel, I absolutely agree that I really do prefer the current UCS Falcons box art. I think it looks beautiful. But we are talking about Lego, who has made a holistic change throughout their entire lineup, that anything that is an adult collectible set has a black box. And therefore, I think that it should fit into that category, whether or not it looks better or worse. I think the new Venator box art looks pretty bad. It might be the first set with the all black adult art that came out that I really just looked at and I was like, man, this would have been dope to have some type of Clone Wars space box art and just had it in the scene basically from the Clone Wars. And I think I am starting to miss that. And I think that was going to be natural. It was going to happen at some point. I did like the shift to all black box art for the adult sets. I still like it, but there will absolutely be cases over the years where I think a lot of us will be like, man, I wish this one had all the colorful, fun box art. Whoever were Lego box art designers before, they either fired some people because they don't need as many people, or they now have the easiest job in the world to just put a hue of color behind the ship on the box. I don't know how that works, but it's a lot easier than creating some really cool creative scene like on the Falcon where you have Cloud City in the background, or the Cloud City Master Builder Series set box art was just gorgeous to me at the time. And yeah, I definitely feel like there are some instances where it would be better to have the full art on the box art, not just a black void. And I think the Venator is a great example. The Falcon is a great example. But I also feel like if Lego has made the decision that every 18 plus adult collectible set should have black art, that the Falcon should follow suit if they plan to keep it on shelves for years and years to come. It just should. Bird says, will you be making an army of the new $60 buildable droidicas? Probably not. I did at a time want to make an army of the, I think, $70 Porg sets. I bought a couple when they like first came out, and I was like, oh man, I could get like 8 of these, and I just never did. But it would have been really cool to have a bunch of Porgs from the time. But the droidica I probably will only ever buy 1 or 2 of as well, unless the droidica figure in the set is good. This has kind of gone under the radar. All of these buildable characters come with a figure version of the character. The droidica, unlike most of the buildable characters, doesn't really have a minifigure or a droid version of it. They do have to like brick build the droidica, but they've redesigned the droidica almost like every time they do it. So it's another crack at making the perfect droidica, which I don't think will ever happen. I think the early 2000s, like 1999, whatever droidica was the best one, and they'll never match it again, whether it's nostalgia or true. I just always really liked that Lego design of the droidica. 2007 was pretty good too. Maybe the peak really was the sniper droidica in the ATRT set from 2013, but I feel like they've missed on a lot of the droidicas over the years. They can't quite get it right to me, and yeah. Vio says, due to Skeleton Crew getting delayed to sometime next year, do you think LEGO will delay the set as well? Because the set was already coming out after the original release date of the show in January 2024, when the show was set for November of this year. I'm going to assume it contains spoilers, and LEGO might delay it. What do you think? As much as I hate to say it, I think you are right. I think the big Skeleton Crew set will get delayed. It didn't always used to be this way with LEGO Star Wars. Basically, before they would release sets before movies and shows came out. The Rebels Ghost is a great example, where this set came out many months before the Star Wars Rebels show released for season 1, but they didn't like delay it or make the release date into the next year. They put out sets for movies and shows before they came out. This is also the case for all 5 of the Disney movies, where they had Force Friday like months before the movie would come out. So it is crazy that LEGO and Disney have become so like paranoid, it feels, with releasing something before a movie or show comes out. Like, I think having the Ahsoka sets released August 1st would have been far better than having them released September 1st, 2 weeks after the show came out. Like, why not have people buying things before it starts? Just makes sense to me. I don't know what the rationale behind it is, but I think you're right. That set could be heading for a big delay, especially because they delayed the show this early. It feels there's plenty of time for LEGO to change their plans around and push that set back to March or May or August, or cancel it altogether. Hopefully not that, though. Zeke says, what is your favorite LEGO Star Wars set from this year so far, and what set do you think has been the best value? We've now seen them all, though. There is no more so far. Like, all 2023 sets have been leaked or revealed, obviously with the Venator being the final one, and I do think that my favorite set of the year is still going to be the Ghost, although Shin Hades Starfighter and E-Wing is giving it a run for its money because the figures are so good. I'm just not as attached to the ships. Maybe it's just Shin Hades being so cool in the show is the reason I like that set. I don't know. But the Ghost is probably my favorite set of the year. It's just the most well-rounded, perfect looking. While Jason's hair color is wrong, it's not as bad as the Captain Rex just looking the way he does, and that's the way that I view it. And when it comes to value, I think the Mandalorian Fang Fighter versus TIE Interceptor for just $100 is that set. I think that is by far the best value set of the year. There's plenty of sets this year that you could point to as overpriced, like Yoda's Starfighter, like the N1 Micro Fighter, or even the Coruscant Guard gunship. But for bang for your buck, that TIE Interceptor set is at the top. Blocko Maniac says, this is probably a strange question, but out of all the Christmas Star Wars sets, not sure how many there are, which do you think has the coziest feeling? I feel like LEGO Christmas sets always try to aim for that in some way. There's only a couple of like actual Star Wars Christmas sets, I think. Just the one that we recently had revealed with the Millennium Falcon, and then we had the Christmas X-Wing from 2019. Outside of that, there's all of the advent calendars, but those aren't the same as, I think, Christmassy sets you're really asking about. And for that, I would really go with the Christmas X-Wing. I think it's just the coolest one. It's the coziest one. I don't know. That's the one I would pick if I could only have one Christmas LEGO Star Wars set. But with this new Millennium Falcon cockpit, I do hope that there is more of them each year. You do an October 1st Christmas LEGO Star Wars set every year for $30, $40, $50, whatever. Christmas Dex's Diner next year. Can we just throw Dex's Diner out for everything? Like May 4th, Dex's Diner Master Builder Series, Dex's Diner Christmas set, just Dex's Diner everywhere. Next year, the year of Dex's Diner, probably not. But, you know, some more Christmassy Star Wars sets would be great. Master Bricketeer says, the day Ryan sits down and talks to the LEGO Star Wars designers face to face, it's going in the history books as one of the most important meetings.